Hello, and welcome to I Love Warhammer, the series where I go into a borderline unscripted ramble into something about this hobby that I really love. In today's episode, it's the Salamanders. This faction is one that I've liked for a while, but not for the longest time. See, I tended to. There are some factions, some Space Marine chapters that I erroneously dismissed as just a Space Marine colour scheme. Oh dear God, was I wrong. The Salamanders are such a cool faction. So let's break it down into a few bits. So first, let's go for the colour scheme. It's a cool shade of green, and they're covered in flames. That's cool, right? Fire on the stuff has been the shortcut for cool since we were 4 years old, if not younger. You want something to be cool, you add flames to it. You want your car to be. You want the drawing of a car you did to look like it's going faster, draw flames coming out of the sides. You want to draw an aeroplane, and you want the aeroplane to look like it's going to go really fast, draw flames on it. And salamanders are that. They've got flames everywhere. That's awesome. Second, lizards. I love lizards. They are salamanders. This guy here, he's got like scales on his shoulder pads, on his pauldrons. He's got a shield here with a salamander's insignia. It's got scales on it. His cloak has scales on it. He's going for the reptile aesthetic, and reptiles are awesome. How can you not? The only reason I don't have a pet lizard is because the idea of either getting in or breeding the insects to feed it skeeves me out a little bit. Because otherwise, I would love to have a lizard. I've got friends who have reptiles as pets, and they love it. And salamanders as a concept are awesome. And then it goes to these salamanders. Lizards and flames, it's cool. It's probably a reference to the old myth of salamanders are fireproof because people would set stuff on fire and salamanders would run out. So, in a sense, these guys have the same origin story as Charmander the Pokemon. Also, as much as I tend to I don't like painting skin tones, but I think I could with the salamanders because it's a straight up black skin tone. That is, it's not. There's not as much shading with it. It's completely unique to the Salamanders faction, and that's cool to me. The other is their use of fire. It's not visible in my more recent videos, but I have a candle in the background of all of my content. Here it is. It is actually the Warhammer Slanesh candle. It's running a bit low as of recording. I will have to get another one. But I'm a huge fan of fire. And the idea of salamanders using flamers, and this guy's got this big fiery thing at the top. That's awesome to me. They're cool to paint. Like, they've got this cool weathering effect going on where they've been affected by the heat. This one's got cables going down to, for where obviously the fuel source for that's stored. Also, this guy's got a hammer. I'm a sucker for a big blunt force melee weapon. And it's just insanely... They're just insanely well detailed, and I just enjoy them being there. Okay, another character here. Same detail. We've got more of these kind of scales here. This is like crackling lava. Even more of the fire theme. This spear tip's been clearly has the heat thing going on. I think that's just really cool. If I were to just do the Salamanders range from the kind of the non-specialist kits of Games Workshop, it wouldn't. This would be my shortest video in the Why I Love Faction Focus series, because there aren't that many things that they have that are unique, that are separate from the Space Marines. But I will give special props to the Land Raider here, just because the flamers on both sides. I think that's a really cool weapon choice. I think the flamers in Warhammer 40,000 look really cool, and they are just, yeah, I just think that looks really cool. And also, green works well for the Land Raider. I just think it's a lovely color for it. Okay, now we're up to specialist kits slash Forge World. I think these guys are awesome. Hammers, I always think look cool. I think there's something special and interesting about these huge hammers that are being wielded. Also, shields, thank you. I enjoy it when a faction uses shields because it's defense. Given that a lot of the weaponry in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, despite being very far-fetched sci-fi, the weaponry is often pretty medieval. So having shields just makes sense. And I love this kind of Horus Heresy era armor. I think that looks really cool. And I love the color schemes where the helmets are black. It kind of resembles the skin of the Salamanders faction. So I think that works very well. I think it's a really it's simple but elegant, this color scheme. And I know that sounds like a really cheap praise, but it's true. It's a couple of shades of green, gold trim, black and silver. And I think that works really well. And especially at army scale games, a simple but consistent color scheme really makes an army pop. I'm also a sucker for pre-heresy army colors. Even though stuff like the Salamanders hasn't changed that much, stuff like the Space Wolves and especially the Thousand Suns and the World Eaters, those changed a lot. Loyalist factions, obviously, they don't change as much, but I always love a good pre-heresy color scheme. Again, more of these flamers. I like these veils. I think those are interesting. I know they're probably not supposed to be veils, but I do think that's a cool concept of like the fabric over the face, as if you're trying to prevent some of the fumes coming in from the flamethrowers you're using at all times. I think that's really cool. And then again, just more fire. More fire equals more cool, paradoxically. Okay, Vulkan. I couldn't not talk about Vulkan. Partially, he's just really cool. B, big hammer. C, there's a cool reputation that I like with him, that both Vulkan and by extension the entire Salamanders chapter are genuinely friendly. And I think that works very well as a both in themselves but also in contrast to other Space Marine factions. I think when the universe of Warhammer 40,000 is as brutal and as pointlessly cruel as it is, the idea of a faction that's trying to help civilians feels like it adds to that almost, that it's somehow fruitless to help people, but they do. If you are a Warhammer Plus subscriber, there was that series Pariah Nexus where you have this Salamander who comes in, he's trying to help people, and then at the end the Salamander's efforts were entirely pointless, and the Salamander lost an arm trying to help people. And I think that really adds something. Even to the point where there's a point in the lore where Vulkan incinerates an Aledari child, which when I first heard that, I took that as, oh, Games Workshop don't want them to be too friendly. But then they show the remorse behind it and the cause of it, that basically he was blinded by rage. And that's not an excuse, right? If you put that to the corpse, you're still going to go to prison. But it does add some layers to it. It doesn't feel as cheap to have him like that. It feels like it was a lapse in character, not a break of character, at least to me. I also love these Horus Heresy character series sculpts. I think they're really beautiful, really detailed, and they are just really good fun to paint. I've only ever painted the one, but again, this Horus Heresy armor I think is really lovely. I love the Salamander's heraldry. And I also love these scenic bases. I love painting rubble like this. And again, his cloak with these scales I think is amazing. I have no idea what skull's on his shoulder pauldron here, but I think it's a really cool thing as well, a really cool touch. Okay, and that's the end of the Salamanders video. A bit of a shorter one, but I was trying to go for exclusively Salamanders models and talking a bit about Vulkan at the end there. So I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. And if you want to leave a comment below with I guess, let's go with what's something in the Warhammer lore that you can find wholesome in a grim dark universe. To quote the tagline, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war. In that setting, what is there that you find wholesome? If you want to leave a like, if you want to subscribe, ring the notification bell, that'd be hugely appreciated. And if you want to share this with a few friends, that'd be amazing too. And with that, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.